the term difference of squares is what we are talking about today. And I want to draw your attention to the top of your book, to the top of the page involved, where there's a sketch of a box here. And there's a sketch of another box here. All right? What they are trying to help you to recognize is that if this is A minus B, or if this is A and that's B, then the difference, once you removed it, is A minus B. Okay? Again, calling the same thing. We're going to say this is A, this is B, so this is A plus B. Okay? Using the letters A and B just to describe a relationship. The product of these two items, A minus B, A plus B, will always be whatever A squared is minus whatever B squared is, because the middle two terms cancel each other out, the linear two terms. And I'm going to show you some examples of how that works, okay? Assuming that you understand, this just represents a relationship. A can be anything, B can be anything. As long as A and B are the same thing, separated by either a positive or a negative, this rule that you're about to learn applies. Okay? So, the end result is going to be the sum of the two numbers multiplied the difference of two numbers is going to look like this. Let's do it A squared, right? How about this piece? Positive AB. Okay, move in one position because we're done here. Over here, negative AB. That times that is negative B squared. You guys tracking with me so far? The center linear term cancels itself out, giving me A squared minus B squared. If you FOIL it, which you might, F is A squared, O, negative AB, I, positive AB, L, negative B squared. After you combine like terms, you'll find that those cancel each other out, and the end result is still A squared minus B squared. Okay? The cool thing about this little technique is you don't have to FOIL and you don't have to multiply, as long as you recognize that the first terms and the last terms are the same, separated by a positive or a negative. It could also be written this way, right? Does it make a difference? No. So let's just say I do x plus 2, x minus 2, or I do q minus 4, q plus 4. These are both examples of the difference of two squares. The difference of two items that were squared. Okay? And the rule to solve these is to simply look at the first number, or the first term, square it. So let's square that term. What is it? Look at the last term. What is it? 2 times 2? 4. And they get separated by a minus sign. This is going to be your pattern whenever A and B are the same thing, only separated by different signs. Okay? Let's try another example, and then we'll do some more. Q minus 4, Q plus 4. First, let's ask ourselves the question, are the first terms the same? Are the last terms the same? Is each binomial separated by a different sign? Positive, negative, yes. If they were the same sign, this would not work. Okay? Then this also fits the scenario. Square the first term, what do you get? Square the last term, what do you get? The answer is separated by a negative sign. Again, following the pattern. This is a pattern. This is what you're doing. Okay? Example 1 has us practicing that a little bit more with a little more difficulty maybe. A little more difficulty maybe. Example 1 has, actually no, let's just do B, because example 1 is with B's. Would you guys agree? Let's do example 1. We'll do B. 2n plus 5, 2n minus 5. Are the first terms the same? Are the last terms the same? Separated by different signs. Square each item, separate it by a negative. The difference of two squares. Okay? The difference of two squares. Example 2, A and B, these just get a little more difficult, but really they're not that bad. If you follow the pattern. It's all about following the pattern. A squared minus 2b, A squared plus 2b. Does this fit the scenario we're discussing? Same thing in the first and last position, only different signs? So let's square the first term. A squared squared. A4. Very good. 2b squared. There you go. Okay? Square the first position, square the last position. It's separated by a negative sign. Okay? B. xy plus z squared, xy minus z squared. Okay, now you got to go back in time a little bit and remember rules and how all this stuff works. All right? How to do squaring. Okay? xy squared is going to be what? Anybody know what xy squared is? X squared, y squared. Good, because it's like saying x, x, y, y. Okay? Z squared squared, Z4. There's your answer. Okay? So, when I saw the binomials, rather than forming, I looked for a pattern. And this pattern that you are learning today is called the difference of squares pattern. And there's many more to follow. Okay? I've noticed that these are same terms separated by a positive and a negative sign. This recognition allows me to quickly multiply those binomials. In reverse, if I am given one that's already multiplied out, I can factor it without having to do a whole lot of work. Let's take x squared minus 4. Okay? X squared minus 4. And I say factor it. That doesn't mean pull out the greatest common factor. That means find the items that are factored to the furthest ability and cannot be factored further than a 1. Okay? First question you're going to ask yourself is, are the first and last terms perfect squares? AKA, do they have a square root? Do they have a square root? Okay? If the answer is yes, move on to step 2. Are the terms representing a sum or a difference? Okay? If difference, then go to 3. Okay? If sum, it's something else. Okay? Step 3. ID square root of both terms for write as two binomials separated by a plus, one of them, and the other one by a minus. This will look clearer as I walk you through it. Okay, are these two perfect squares? Does this have a square root? Does 4 have a square root? Don't look at that. Yes. So yes. Move on to step 2. Is this a sum or a difference? Difference, good. Okay, what is the square root of x squared? What is the square root of 4? Write as two binomials separated by a positive and a negative. And that, my friends, is how to factor difference of squares. Okay? They give you the pattern at the top of the page. If you recognize at the top of page 205 that two items are rootable and they're separated by a negative, then you simply place the roots in two separate binomials, as I've done here, separated by a positive and a negative sign. Okay? Example 3, let's continue. Let's do z squared minus 49. Okay? Is this a perfect square? Perfect square? Awesome. Are they separated by a subtraction symbol? Okay, let's place two binomial brackets up there. Square root of z squared, first position. Square root of 49, last position, separated by opposite signs. Okay? It's all about following the procedures, the steps that I have given you. Letter B, 16 minus 9x squared. I don't care what order they give it to you in, as long as both of these are perfect squares separated by a different sign, I can use the same technique. Okay? Perfect square, yes. 9, yes. X squared, yes. That means this entire thing is a square. Okay? Separated by a different symbol, yes. Square root of 16, place that in the first position. Square root of 9x squared, 3x, awesome. Separated by opposite symbols. And it doesn't matter, plus minus, minus plus. Makes no never mind. Okay? What if they get harder? As in example C, doesn't make a difference, we don't care about that. 81, a squared minus 25, x to the 6th. But Mrs. Myers, x to the 6th isn't a perfect square. Remember, when you are dealing with exponents, if they are an even number, you cut it in half, and it is the square root. Okay? Square, square. Root of 81a squared, 9a all day long. I know I'm going to separate it by a positive and a negative. Root of 25x6, 5x3. Good. Not hard at all, right? I don't think it's hard. Until we get to example 4. Okay? Until we get to example 4. Now, the thing I'm leaving out in all of this is when you get here, you still should ask yourself, can it be factored further? Does z minus 7 and z plus 7 share anything other than a 1? No. Do these share anything other than a 1? No. Same can of worms here. Okay? But example 4 is going to show you a slightly different scenario where you might actually have to factor it yet another time because there is another difference of squares buried within. Okay, I want to do one and then I'll do the one they have there for you. So I'm going to start with, this is my example, 81s4 minus 16t8. Okay? Perfect square? Yes. Perfect square? Yes, because those exponents are even. You just cut them in half. Throw down my binomials, or my brackets for my binomials. Square root is 9s2. Square root of this, oops, I didn't write it twice. 4t4. 4t4. One is a positive, one is a negative. Is there anything else I can do here? Nothing. How about here? That's another difference of squares, isn't it? Dun, 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 dun. So now I have to break this up. Okay? This is going to be 3s plus 2t squared, 3s minus 2t squared. Okay? All of this multiplied by the original thing that was part of the factor. Okay? This hidden within your factoring is going to be your biggest hiccup. Always ask yourself, is there any other thing that can be factored here? And for the sake of this lesson, you're really just working with perfect squares. Okay? Last example, this is the one they gave you. This is going to be, I'm going to call it B, 16R4 minus 625. Now you might not recognize that 625 is a perfect square, but if you pull out your handy dandy calculator, you plug it in, you're going to find the square root is 25. Okay? So 4r2 minus 25, 4r2 plus 25. Anybody see another rootable perfect square? 4, 25, and r squared. 2r plus 5, 2r minus 5, and bring down what was laying there waiting. Is this still factorable? Nothing other than a 1 can come out of here, and here, and here. So now I'm done. If you had quit here, I would have said, oh, difference of squares. Wrong answer. Factoring completely means looking for every opportunity to break something until it has no more factors other than a 1 that can be pulled out.